2, 1.
Good day, U.S. history students. Mr. Deegan here in the VidNotes zone. We are doing 4-2. And our learning target is I will understand how America expanded westward and how this expansion impacted Native, and this should say Americans, Native Americans, like this gentleman here. And America expands from the 13 original colonies on the East Coast westward to include this entire piece of land. Why go west? Economic and strategic interests, supported by popular beliefs, led to territorial expansion to the Pacific Ocean. So all this area was explored in 1783, but all of this white area here was left unexplored. And there was lots of money opportunity, lots of financial opportunity here, all the way to the Pacific Ocean. Why go west? Before the Civil War started, the new American Republic experienced dramatic expansion, immigration, economic growth, and industrialization. Americans, stirred by their hunger for land and the ideology, meaning belief, of manifest destiny, flocked to new frontiers. And here you see some settlers heading west. What was manifest destiny? That phrase in red. It's a term to describe the attitude popular during the 1800s that it was the fate of the United States to stretch from coast to coast. And here is an angel-like woman who is bringing these settlers west. It was destined for them to travel west. Fights with Native Americans, conflicts between American settlers and Indian nations in the Southeast and the Old Northwest resulted in the relocation of many Indians to reservations. And here you see the sad, somber Americans, Native Americans, that is. And here you see the Old Northwest and the Southeast. There were a lot of fights between settlers and the Indians, especially in these places. The Louisiana Purchase. Thomas Jefferson, there he is, as president in 1803. He was the third president, purchased the huge Louisiana territory from France, which doubled the size of the United States overnight. Here is the vast Louisiana territory. And here is the original United States. Thomas Jefferson makes a big buy. And after that buy, we talk about Lewis and Clark. Jefferson authorized the Lewis and Clark expedition to explore the new territories that lay west of the Mississippi River. Sacagawea, an American Indian woman, served as their guide and translator. Here is Meriwether Lewis and William Clark, who Jefferson hired for this journey. And where did the journey start? It started right here in St. Louis on the Mississippi River. And here's the route that they take, northwest. And eventually they reach the Pacific Ocean. And here is Lewis and Clark and Sacagawea, the Indian guide. Without her, they probably would not have made it as far as they did. War victory increases land holdings. The American victory over the British in the War of 1812, which we'll talk about in a later lesson, produced an American claim to the Oregon Territory and increased migration of American settlers into Florida, which was later acquired by treaty from Spain. So treasure, everyone wants treasure. Well, treasure back in the 1800s was land for the American settlers. And here's the Oregon Territory that was acquired. And here is Florida, which Spain owned, and America would take it from Spain in the 1800s. The Monroe Doctrine. It was passed in 1823, and it was named after the 5th president of these United States, James Monroe, a Virginian, I might add, and a neighbor to Thomas Jefferson. The Monroe Doctrine stated the following 4 things. The American continents should not be considered for future colonization by any European powers. And American continents means both North and South America. Number 2, nations in the Western Hemisphere were inherently different from those of Europe. They were republics by nature, republics meaning the people elected leaders, rather than monarchies, which had kings and queens. So the Monroe Doctrine said to Europe, we're drawing a line in the Atlantic Ocean. Don't cross this line, Europe. We are different and we will not be taken over anymore. The United States puts its foot down. Number 3, the United States would regard as a threat to her own peace and safety any attempt by European powers to impose their system on any independent state in the Western Hemisphere. And here's the symbol of the United States, Uncle Sam, protecting all vulnerable countries. The U.S. sees it as its mission to do this, to protect vulnerable countries from European selfishness. Number 4, the United States would not interfere in European affairs. If you don't fight us, we won't fight you. But if you do come over, we have this club and we will use it, says the United States in the Monroe Doctrine. We are almost done. Please think of 2 questions that you'd like to ask about what you have just learned about westward expansion. And when you're done with that, you are done with 4-2. Until next time, this is Mr. Deegan signing off from the D226 studios. See ya.